No one should continue with the exploitation of our minerals without our involvement. Not even China will be allowed to recolonize Africa. We are called economic freedom fighters because we want any foreign direct investment to come and invest in Africa through our own terms and to the benefits of the people of Africa. It might be a dream. Some might think it's not real. But we know we're going to achieve it. For because this dream is not just a dream, but a generational mission. It's a generational mission we are not prepared to sell out. We want to restore the dignity of African people. We want to ensure that African people are equal partners in trade, in politics, in every subject that the world is debating. We want to follow the steps of Nelson Mandela. Because Nelson Mandela's term, president, he said the struggle continues. He said so because he knew that political freedom without economic people would break. So many committed dreams of those who came before us. Like many African leaders, we want to unite the people of Africa to have a common agenda and common purpose. We want Africa to unite and Africa to reclaim its land and its resources. The EFF speaks about expropriation of land without compensation because we know that when the land was taken in Africa was through genocide. Why would we reward genocide? We cannot reward genocide, but we want land because land guarantees us of the sovereignty of South Africa and the African continent. We cannot claim to be Africans, yet we have nothing to show as a proof that indeed we are Africans. For because we do not even have title deeds to prove that we are the owners of the land, we have nothing to show. When you go into mines, it's multinational companies. When you go into banks, it's multinational companies. When you go into monopoly industries, it's multinational companies. We cannot even own and protect our own agricultural sector with our fertile land in Africa. Because Europe and the entire developed countries use Africa and South Africa as a dumping site. Every lower grade food get to be dumped in our countries, undermining our own agriculture. When we say those things, we are called communist, we are called anarchist, we are called radicals, because we must continue to bow before a white supremacist. We're refusing that. We're refusing to bow before imperialism and colonialism. We want a total control of our own country and our own land. We in South Africa, black and white, we coexist as people. When we fight colonialism, we do not fight white people. We come from a bad history of apartheid, where white people have exploited us for far too long. Yet, we have extended a hand of friendship. There are many others who are still refusing and still wanting to act as if we live in the apartheid era. Those do not deserve to live amongst those who want a united South Africa, black and white. It is of their own problem. We are not going to be an international home of racists. We're not going to be an international capital city of racism. we refuse that black people must still bow before white people. And that does not mean you must go away. We are going to reverse the legacy of apartheid through robust engagement and not through pretentious arrangements. We are still hating. We have seen people dying before us. We have seen many, many children killed by apartheid regime. Yet we came out and said, we remain brothers. But there are those who are refusing to show remorse and wanting to perpetuate that which happened during apartheid times. We owe no one no apology when we say South Africa is no home of racists. And racism must be fought everywhere else, including here in Oxford. It must be fought everywhere else in New York, where black people get to be shot at by police at will without serious action. We need a world that recognizes human beings and not color. It starts with me. It starts with me, particularly if you are white. You need to stand up and say, not in my name. We are a new generation. We need to usher in a non-racial international society. Racism has got no place where democracy, prosperity is to take place. South Africa, we want to lead by example. In the same way we led by example and accepted that the colonizer and the colonized must share territory. Even beyond the defeat of the colonizers, we did not seek to pay revenge. We continued to share territory with those who colonized us because we believe strongly that there is a place for everyone in South Africa. But let us transform the economy to benefit all. We cannot protect white privilege at the expense of the majority African people in South Africa and the whole entire African continent. We are hated for saying that. We are hated for demanding that we must all be treated as equals. It's not going to change that. We will rather die for a dream that is going to be realized by many generations after us. Even if we don't realize it ourselves, we've made a commitment to lay a firm foundation for generations to come. We seek to inspire confidence amongst many, many, many African masses that they must stand on their own. In this day and era, you still have a situation where there are African states paying colonial tax to France. France, it is what it is because of those African states. You have the reserve banks of African states in France and not in Africa itself. And we must accept that and say it is acceptable, it is in the interest of Africa. It is not. We want Africans to have control over their own currency. We want Africans to have control over their own economy and what constitutes their own economy. Our struggle seeks to inspire that. Our struggle seeks to inspire accountable African leaders, not dictators, not unaccountable leadership that turns a public purse into a personal purse. Some leaders in Africa, when you ask them for money, they go and fetch from a reserve Reserve Bank and give it to you. Because they treat a Reserve Bank as a personal leaders and democratic leadership, not leader and imposing because we thought we'll learn from many failed African states and not repeat similar mistakes. But it looks like we are traveling in the same direction that was traveled by failed African states. In the whole of Africa, I met some of the students earlier, some are doing research in Africa. You must go and check the facts. In every failed state, it became so because of an individual called president. The president takes over the country and everything else gets to be designed around the individual called president. They move from a democratic rule to personal rule. They respect individual more than the state institutions. If a president does not like a red beret, a law is passed that all red berets are banned in this country. If the president in South Africa does not like a corruption fighting institution called Scorpions, they go and close down that Scorpion so that he can steal more than 250 million rands. I don't know what is that in pounds. Because he doesn't want to go to prison. Every institution that wants to take him to prison for corruption, he destroyed that institution. The Scorpions closed down because that was going to cause him problems. Now we've got a beautiful lady called a public protector fighting corruption. The president is after her. Because anyone fighting corruption in South Africa is the enemy of the president. And if that president is left alone, South Africa will become one of the failed African states. Not under our watch. The EFF has arrived. The EFF is going to protect the sovereignty and the democracy of South Africa. The EFF is going to revive correct politics in Africa and position Africa at a correct path in the international politics. It is possible. We have taken that position, and many in Africa are willing to follow. So we came here to the Oxford Union and to London because we are going to meet many other institutions, including thinking tanks and investors in Africa. I mean, in UK. Those who want to invest in Africa, those who love peace and democracy, those who love the sharing of wealth amongst people. We need your support. We need you to commit that Africa should not be a playground of the rich, because Africa is not a desert, but a continent where human beings are found and they must be treated with respect and dignity. Thank you very much.
So, guys, this is painful. And the gentleman, Mr. Malema, seems to have harbored, a lot. His childhood rather, must have not been an easy one. And such kind of people, they usually have, the deep-seated, things, issues, thoughts, feelings, sentiments that they never had opportunity to express. Even as it looks in this particular context here, that it is high time, and obviously a very high time, that the Africans, they get that particular desire. A desire is not just a desire to maybe achieve something, but if you've got a burning, inconsistent no, not inconsistent, but a consistent burning desire to attain and achieve something, then you're likely to get there. But you see, I've been trying to listen to Malema for quite a long, and maybe you might be wondering, I keep on promoting his work, but that is not the thing here. It seems that he's at issues that he's articulating worldwide and whatever that he's sharing to any common person with, an African, in common average African, will see this one as the truth. But there should be some moderation, about which or upon which that Malema is supposed to be proceeding on, and that is to me, that is for me, and that is my own opinion. But of course, you also have your own take from the other end. To drop us your comment in the comment section. Let us exactly know what is it that Malema needs to be able to do. Even as you see, it's 40 days, 39 out days towards election. Is Malema, trading on the right track? Because I look at a point whereby when he's given that particular full mantle, there are many things that drastically there are going to be emotions which are going to make him make decisions emotionally when he's emotionally bound. You see, it's believed that you cannot make decisions when you're emotionally bound, or maybe you are, under emotions or under certain influence. And because he's going to take that particular seat, and hopefully that he takes, much of his, actions and activities, to some extent, they're deep-seated in emotions. Like he's driven more of emotions than than intellectual or professionalism or their code of conduct. There is a means of acting and doing things when it comes to decision making. So you don't have to be emotionally inbound when you're making these particular choices or decisions. Something that I see that Malema needs really maybe to work on. But of course, guys, that is my observation here, and again I say that to stand corrected. It's your guy Lit here. If you're just passing by, it's your first time, a good friend of yours did refer to this particular channel. How about a thumbs up? A thumbs up. Okay, we are doing this one to enlighten, to see us Africans, where are we? Where are we going? Where did the rain start beating us? And if all along you will listen up to this particular point, there's one thing that you would have realized that, hey, for sure, it is we've been blindfolded all along, and we really need to wake up. I will have to pause it at this particular point. Let's meet in the next.